It is time once again for a Ramble video. Um, just getting all the thoughts I have in my head out all in one video. And when people see that it's an hour long, they don't have to click on it. They sometimes do and then complain, oh, that's an hour long and it's not worth it because you didn't say anything that I was interested in. Well, fuck you then. um, right before I started this Ramble video, underneath my electric blanket and my mink blanket, uh, right before I started this one, I rolled my wrist. I think I might have sprained it. It's hurting. Um, but I am determined to get through this Ramble video and get it all out of my head and out to you guys. Let's see. It's very cold right now. I wrote down some things to talk about. This is not going to be one of those Ramble videos where I just go on and on and on. There's actually, I gotta get this out in about an hour. So, gentlemen, start your computers and boot up World of Warcraft and play me in the background, fuckers. Alright. First thing I want to talk about is fucking taxes and U.S. savings bonds. When I was 2.5 years old, my grandfather bought me a $50 savings bond. He spent $50 at the time. He also brought my brother one. I guess my brother had just been born and he wanted to get my brother a present, but then he wanted to get me one as well. And my father found these savings bonds in his filing cabinet 6 months before they would hit their maximum. So we just waited the 6 months and they hit their maximum yield and we turned them in. Well, I just got the forms from the bank stating that I have interest income and I'm going to have to put this on my income tax return. And I get taxed at a rate of about a third of everything I make goes back to the government, and it sucks because I'm a single guy and not much of anything that I do in my life really is incurring costs on society as much as I am paying for. It's not like the money that I give to the government is going to the places that I want it to, like libraries. So, I'm not happy that my grandfather bought me a savings bond and now basically all the earnings from that savings bond are basically going to be taxed away from me. That sucks. Don't buy savings bonds. At least not U.S. savings bonds. Look into whatever you're going to invest in, if you're going to invest. That's what I'm saying. Next topic. My new project, votinginaction.org, now has a P.O. box. You can go to votinginaction.org and go to the Contact Us and see the P.O. box, and you could actually write me a letter, and I would get it. It's right there. It cost me $48 for 6 months. Now, if you live in different parts of my city, you have to pay different rates for a P.O. box. 10 miles south of where I live, there are cheaper P.O. boxes. And it's like they know which neighborhood is more affluent, and they know what they can charge. Because it would take me, over the course of 6 months, it would take me more gas driving back and forth to get to that cheaper mailbox. And so it would be, worth it to me to just pay $10 extra to get this P.O. box of the same size. And I think everybody should go to USPS and start shopping for P.O. boxes, and you will see what I'm talking about, in that they will list everything close to your address within a certain radius, and you just look at the different prices. And it is fucking bullshit. Because you can't tell, just because somebody lives in an affluent neighborhood, if they are actually affluent. And I think it's bullshit. Fucking bullshit. But I got it anyway, because what am I going to do? I wanted a P.O. box. So that was a win for my project today. And I keep on winning, accomplishing more and more. And the next is I'm working on the Articles of Incorporation. And I got fed up with it, and I decided, fuck it, it's time for a Ramble video. And I need a break, because every time I run into IRS tax code and I will not do this or this or this, and I have to reference this tax code, I'm like, well, what does that tax code really say? How am I binding my hands now? And yeah, it's a very slow process, even though I'm working from a template for Articles of Incorporation for incorporating my nonprofit. This template has, you have to look up all these things. And I go off on tangents when I'm looking them up, I don't just read it. I look at other places to try to, find out all of the implications that I might not be seeing. And so I got to about the end of my Articles of Incorporation and found out that I have to get them notarized before I send them in. And yeah, that's another cost that I'm going to incur on my own. Before I get the nonprofit status, I must pay a notary, and that's not going to be like a tax deduction because I don't have the nonprofit status yet. So, the bylaws are a little bit easier, as well as Articles of Incorporation. I have to have bylaws in order to get this thing turned into a nonprofit. And the bylaws are basically nobody in the board of directors, nobody associated with the nonprofit is going to fuck the nonprofit out of what the nonprofit deserves to have and owns. So, yeah, that's really fucking easy. You're not really binding your hands if you're doing shit right, and you're not like trying to just create a nonprofit in order to fuck it. You don't shit where you live. So the bylaws are pretty easy to follow. They also have things about, we'll vote on shit. Yay. So look up how you have to incorporate things in your own state if you're going to make a corporation. And look up the bylaws that you have to have. And in my state, you have to have 4 people. So some states you need 6 people to make a corporation. It's weird. We only need 4 to magically imbue personhood onto a piece of paper in order to get special tax statuses that I guess other places already have, like churches and shit. I'm sure they had to file incorporation if they're a church. I hope they had to. That'll be something to look into. We'll write that down. Fucking do churches have to incorporate so I've been getting back to my my regular format for my videos, my good videos, the ones that I actually want you guys to watch, not these ramble videos. But I have one video coming up that I'm working on because it's going to be an article and a video, and it's pretty cool. It's a church that's actually pretending to be a doomsday cult in order to attract members. And that should be out tomorrow night as of when I'm recording this video. I don't know when the fuck you're going to see this video because it takes a long time to upload an hour-long fucking video. The next thing that I have that's still on my plate that I haven't really addressed is that I have now received 4 letters from Aldous Valor, all of which have riddles in them. And I've only made one video about them. But I was thinking, do I want to just experience this alone, or should I lay out these riddles in another video where I let the audience try to solve the riddles as well? Maybe make a video and then disable comments, so that no one will be tempted to just look down in the comments and cheat, One of these envelopes that I got in the mail was actually full of broken glass. And then I was like, well, the thing says do not bend on it. What the fuck? And it was all broken glass inside. I was like, okay, did he send me something that was glass and then they bent it and they broke it? But then I looked and there's writing on the glass. I'm like, no, fucker probably wants me to put the puzzle together. He probably wrote something on glass and smashed it and wants me to fucking piece it together. And, if I do that, then that'll just be part of the video that I will probably make just to have everyone, experience this with me. Because I have been honored or cursed, however you want to put it, with 4 letters from Aldous Valor. I think that's probably the most anyone's ever gotten. And I think I might be the first person to ever be put on the shit-listed board, taken off, and then put on the dead to me board. So, yeah. This is like historic shit, I guess. But I'm kind of reprioritizing, and I think I want to do fun things like this rather than what I had been doing for the last 4 fucking months that people stopped wanting to watch. So, that was everything that I had on the list of things to talk about, but I have one more big long thing. This is about the speechless video. I was driving along on Pikes Peak and I saw this car, or this truck, where the truck bed had the back window painted and said, "In loving memory of our son," and then it said, Staff Sergeant, and then it had the guy's name. Now, I blocked out his name in the video that I put up because I don't really want to get his family, like, any hate mail or anything, because I know my subscribers. And on the side window, it said, "Our soldier is now in heaven." And then it had a kneeling soldier in the shadow of a cross. So, the reason why I named that video Speechless was because it was a very poignant scene to me, and it wasn't that I didn't have anything to say. I didn't want to. I wanted people to reflect on what was in the video and come to their own conclusions, not really based on what I have to say. I didn't want to put any commentary in it, but I realize now that the fact that I'm an atheist and an outspoken atheist on YouTube, that adds commentary. There's a subtext to it. This was uploaded by Agent of Doubt, so of course he's looking at it through his critical eyes, and he's like looking at them like, what the fuck, you know? I get that, but I did intentionally upload it without commentary so that people would just be able to soak it in themselves what I was looking at. But I'm going to now react to some of the comments that were on that video. Now, Rick Disgate wanted to know if there was a drive-by or a type-by Tommy Parkying. Yes, Tommy Parky has not forgotten about me, and from time to time he likes to just go down all my comments in a video and just write anal rape. And his latest account was Child Rape Glenn Watson. Of course, that's All Babies Are Atheists name with the word child rape in front of it. And every time he does it, I have to block another channel. And he doesn't stop making channels, and that's just going to continue, and that's how it's going to be. That's how it is for everybody who's on Tommy Parky's list. And my wrist just acted up again. Okay, so. Parallels Dumarier says, "Gotta love the mentality of the Christian. It's like you're free of all judgment if you call yourself a Christian. It doesn't matter what inhumanity or avarice or intolerance you act out in life. All is forgiven because you call yourself a Christian. To be a Christian is to carry around a get out of responsibility free card. The hypocrisy oozing like a pus-filled putrid stench of infection and disease. To their noses, though, the smell is as sweet as honey." So, being a veteran myself, who actually probably served on the same post as this guy, I don't get the same feeling as Parallels Dumarier gets from looking at that. I do think that it's pretty weird that the general public in my town, surrounded by military bases on every side, does not get the connection to, um, say, a jihadist who is a suicide bomber who then gets called a martyr, and his picture gets put on signs in a march, as his family considers him already in paradise with however many virgins, because he gave himself. And really, I think that the reason why they don't make that connection is because they don't think that because this soldier who died was a soldier in our army does not mean he made it to heaven. He was a soldier and a Christian. That's the way that they are seeing it. Um, if he were a soldier and an atheist and went and fought for and died for our country, that wouldn't be a free ticket to heaven, you know. Um, but it does seem kind of weird that, I don't think that Jesus would tell anyone to join the army at all. I really don't. Um, it's not my idea of what following the teachings of Jesus would entail to join a service where you are going to be paid to train to kill and possibly kill someone. But that's me. Um, Rictus Gate responded to Parallels du Maurier and says, "You've got that right. Religion is ideology that idolizes sociopathy. There was a South African torturer slash murderer who became born again. His statement regarding forgiveness is very telling. Not an exact quote here. That's the main thing about the forgiveness of Christ. I know I'm forgiven, and it doesn't matter what people think." Or how about D. Wilson? He doesn't see a reason to be moral if there's no God. A statement worthy of a sociopath. Again, I don't think his family were completely connecting the service of the soldier to his ticket into heaven. I think, yeah, they probably thought that everything he was doing as a soldier was covered under his forgiveness, and they probably didn't think that he was doing anything wrong. Um, that the shooting and killing of people wouldn't be under the Ten Commandments as "thou shalt not kill," because their translation of it is "thou shalt not murder," and shooting and killing someone in a war situation is not murder to them. So, yeah, I don't even think that they think being a soldier is something that you need to ask for forgiveness for. It's not really the sentiment that I run into in this town full of mega churches and military bases. Let's see. I'm going to go with Crazy to the Core. He said that this is a sign that the parents or family members of the dead soldier is religious. For all you know, the soldier could have been an atheist. Very true and awesome that Crazy thought about this, James. We actually had a case where a whole bunch of Marines who died were having crosses erected in their name, and the organization who did that didn't check first to see whether the people that they were erecting crosses for were actually Christian, and they found out that a couple of them were not. So, good point. Besides, no God fearing man or woman would take up arms to gun down another person because their government told them to. Okay. And also, this war has nothing to do with Christianity, so the comment about Christian jihadism is about as pointless as this video is. And I try as I might, I couldn't find the comment about Christian jihadism. Somebody might have commented and wait, no, it was Deconversion Central. Yeah, he's the one who said that. So, because I have this over here. Anyways, I see it. Kind of. You know, there is a parallel between martyrs on their side and martyrs on our side. Now, I think the biggest hurdle to get over in seeing this parallel is their army is not organized. You know? That's the biggest difference. If their army were organized enough to look official, it would probably be bombed to smithereens. You know? So it doesn't look like an army or like their murder is official army business murder. It's not war murder. They're just like, you're a Christian, I'm going to blow you up. And you can ascribe anything you want to their motives. They're not taking orders. They're doing it themselves because they're not part of an organized army in most people's minds, you know. But to me, the kind of guerrilla warfare that they do with their suicide bombing and the way that they have to use IEDs and stuff, it reminds me of the Revolutionary War in America, where the British were basically being picked off by snipers because we couldn't have won the war any other way other than to invent guerrilla warfare and not face them phalanx on phalanx because they would have kicked our asses. So it's a hurdle that many people don't get over, that their army is legitimate. You know, their resistance fighters are legitimately taking orders as if they were part of an army, even though we have chopped off the heads of many parts of their organization. They still they still deserve the same sort of mental respect as far as what's going on in their heads. So Calm Reason says, people are more willing to die to protect you if they think that it's no big deal. I can see justification for infantile delusion being compulsory in those whose jobs require death as a possibility. Try not to smirk when talking to the grieving families, though. And to me, I think Calm Reason is getting a little bit closer to what I feel when I watch that truck go by. What I'm feeling is saying that that soldier is now in heaven and in a better place, and, you know, God is now taking care of him and everything has worked out for the better because now he's in heaven. To me, that minimalizes the loss of a human life. You know, there will be no replacement of this particular staff sergeant. I don't care if someone gets promoted and takes his job. This was a unique individual who will no longer be on this planet and whose life was cut short by whatever happened to him. And that loss is not something that you can say for sure, was replaced with any gains in heaven. You know, um, of course, his parents who put that on the side of the truck, they probably think that they know for sure, but to me, it really seems like um, glossing over and polishing the turd of a human life was lost. And a good one at that, someone who dedicated many years of his life to protecting this country, and he's gone, you know? And I don't want to look on the bright side of things, especially when they're hypothetical bright sides, you know? There, there's no reason to look at that bright side. There's a really big reason to look at, do we want to see any of this bad side of things ever happening again? You know, if more people realize that these deaths are a cost that we don't want to bear, then maybe there would be less war. You know, I really do think that this religious mentality of, soldiers going to heaven, it really breeds more and more war. If you watch the constitutionalist Mike Hollier that I filmed last week, if you watch that entire presentation, there was a point where I disagreed with him. I knew he was a Christian going into it. I knew he was a Tea Partier and all that. But there's a point where I disagreed with him twice in a row. The first part was that we all needed to pray a little prayer of repentance. And of course, I'm an atheist. I don't agree with him that we should pray in order to get the country back on course. And then the second thing was, he said that we should be ready to take up arms and shoot people, and start a violent revolution. He said that we're in this really odd point where we know that legislation isn't working anymore and it's not time to shoot people yet. We're in this awkward moment in between. And I disagree with both things, that we need to pray and that we need to get ready to shoot people. Both things I disagree with, and I think that they're connected. A lot of the other things that he was saying during that lecture, I actually agreed with. But when he got to that point where he was ready to start killing people, I'm like, whoa, whoa, the tree of liberty needs to be replenished with the blood of patriots and tyrants. What? I've heard that before, and it's an awesome quote, charges up people, but what if we can replenish the tree with something like talking it out, reasoning with people, and why are you so quick to pick up your fucking gun and shoot people? shooting people is not good. So, Inventor Gorilla and McNuts, they both had a back and forth. And what I have to say about Inventor Gorilla and what he said to me was, he was like, dude, and you're supposed to have been a veteran yourself, you know, this is fucked up. This video is fucked up. And really, I put the video out there with no commentary, you know. And what I have to say back to him is, just because I was a veteran, or I am a veteran, I was a soldier, does not mean that I'm going to think just like every other soldier or veteran that you have ever met. None of us are thinking about this the same way. Some people are still gung-ho and would look at that and go, yeah, he's in heaven, you know. And some people would be atheists and they would respect the parents' wishes to celebrate the life of their soldier in whatever way that they want to. But I am not one of those people. I am my own person. And just because I am a part of a group that I cannot remove myself from, I am a veteran. That's just going to be it for the rest of my life. I served in the military. Just because I'm part of that group does not mean that I have that same group think. And even Christians might have a problem if they were a veteran and they looked at that and it really is a gaudy display in my eyes. It's strange that you would want to memorialize the life of your son on the window of your camper trailer. You know, I can think of 100 different things that I would rather people use money on if I died in war than to put my name on the back window of a fucking camper trailer. And let everybody else in the world know, hey, we have a soldier who died in the war, and so we are, I guess, survivors of war tragedy, and so look at us, look at us, look at us. There's a lot of different ways to take what I saw, and so I filmed it and I let people make their own impressions, and now you all know how I feel about seeing something like that. It really disturbs me to think that, you know, his potential future that was lost is being just brushed over for, oh, he's got a better future now in heaven. And look at us, we're a family who has a soldier ghost son in heaven. So we now have, you know, some ray of sunshine coming down on us from the guy in the sky, and he must have blessed us with the knowledge that our soldier is in heaven, so one of our family got up there, you know. And let's see. Occupy These, who he's been leaving some comments on a lot of my videos. He said, "Why do you care about other people's beliefs so much? I know for myself, if someone wants to believe that they're on a mission from God to rule in their name, I don't care until they start achieving power. Then I care." I responded with my unicornism video. It's one of my favorite videos that I've ever made, and I think it's very underviewed compared to the rest of my videos. Again, this video might actually be viewed more than that video, which is horrible because this is like a Ramble video, and that one was actually something that I put a lot of work into getting just the right thoughts across. So yeah. Why is it that a guy comes along 2,000 years ago and preaches about peace and love for your neighbor and compassion, and people can turn it into justifications for war and then think that Jesus is on their side? This guy who preached about peace, he's on their side when they go to war. I'm not really going to understand that, I don't think, for a long time. I was part of a call party for a politician this past week, and I spent 2.5 hours asking people the question, who do you want for the Republican Party as the presidential nominee? And I was in a neighborhood north of where I live, next to the largest megachurch here, the Life Church, the one that looks like the flying saucer. Like they're building a space ark to lift off. I was very surprised by their selections, because in 2.5 hours, 2 times I got an answer that was not Newt Gingrich. And invariably when they said Newt Gingrich, they said that they were worried about conservative values for our country. They were worried about national defense. But I think that maybe a lot of them were paying attention to who might be able to take the lead from Mitt Romney, who also fit their ideals. And national defense, of course, is big in a city surrounded by military bases, and Newt Gingrich is big on that. But, of course, they're not going to vote Mitt Romney because he's a Mormon, and this is an evangelical megachurch town. And they're not going to vote Ron Paul because Ron Paul votes anti-war all the time. So they had to pick one of the others. And it's like they all got together and decided Newt Gingrich is our guy now. So even though he's been sucking in polls everywhere else, they're like, man, all of our people are dropping out. Rick Perry's just dropped out. So who do we pick? I guess we're gonna have to go with Newt Gingrich. I got one who said Mitt Romney because they were more interested in who could beat Obama. That was the most important issue to them. And I had one that picked Rex Santorum and Ron Paul as a runner-up. And the person that I was doing this call party for was going to be running for a delegate for caucus on February 7th for his precinct up north, not in my precinct. But I wanted to see how this process worked. And I was just shocked that, Newt is like nowhere in the polls of all these other states. He's been so close to the bottom, and yet all of the people in that precinct wanted Newt. And pretty much because they wanted somebody who had Christian values but also wants to go to war. Well, I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to upload this. And so I'm going to wake up and probably find a whole bunch of comments from a whole bunch of people. And maybe somebody's going to think that I just spit on some other soldier's grave. But I want you all to know that I really, in filming that, I was really coming from a place of concern that soldier's sacrifice was not being recognized enough in my eyes.